Hello, Guru Philosophers. We're the Gurus, and we're back at it again with another episode talking about philosophy. This is episode 138.
138. My name is Wesley, this is my co-host Aryan, and today we are going to be talking about Kant and Hegel. They are two very difficult to understand philosophers. They wrote very short Kant and whatever. They wrote very short and concise but packed full of information articles or books that have shaped the modern philosophy as we know it today. So today, this was in the essay, but I just want to cover a general question really quickly. How do you think philosophical ideas and concepts can contribute to one's worldview and understanding oneself?
Very broad question, but
Start it broad.
I think they're beneficial because they invoke thought in us.
Why do you? Okay, let me make it maybe a little bit easier. Why do you think it's better for somebody to know philosophy rather than not to know philosophy?
Well, I think philosophy is something that invokes thought in a person, especially about stuff that we don't necessarily have a reason to think about every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get sidetracked, in everyday life and like the stuff we have to do immediately, and philosophy is a good pathway to a part of us that we don't necessarily explore very often. Okay. Especially I feel like in today's world. So I think it helps us get to know each other better. Well, it helps us get to know ourselves better. And
but what is a specific example of that?
I mean, I think it's different for everyone. Personally, philosophy has just taught me new perspectives on life and new ways of thought that I could maybe implement in my day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's and also learning about opposing views that I don't necessarily believe in, skepticism is just knowledge. It's knowledge. Knowledge is power.
So just getting to know as much information about philosophy helps because it's just different perspectives.
That's a part of it. I think the more beneficial part is finding a philosophy that you resonate with and maybe following that path, or invoking different philosophies from a bunch of different perspectives and making a new path, your own path, following that.
I was going to start with Kant's ideas, but since you said allowing opposing views into your life, I want to start with Hegel and Hegel's dialectic. Hegel, are you familiar with Hegel's dialectic?
No.
He says that anything in existence gives birth to its own opposite. So the relationship between two sides would eventually create enough tension to integrate them at a higher level into a new synthesis. So basically, he wants opposing views because together these opposing views will come together and birth something better in the end. So inviting opposing views is part of his philosophy, and he always endorsed it. So what are some ways that you can appreciate opposing ideas and bring it into your life?
That's a hard question, but I can understand where Hegel, is that how you pronounce it?
Hegel, something like that. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, sure. Hegel.
Kant.
Is it Kant?
Kant. Yeah. We talked about in one of the previous podcasts how I believe kind of a lot of things are relative, especially good and bad. Good's relative to the bad and bad's relative to the good. And we decide as humans what's bad, really bad, based on what we all consider to be good. That is similar to what he's saying about how everything in existence gives birth to its own opposite. Kind of like the spectrum thinking. So I can't necessarily think of an example. If you maybe provide one, it'll invoke some thought in me.
Mm-hmm.
But just a general idea of just keeping balance, like straight in the middle. That's I feel like that's kind of what Hegel's getting at based on what you.
Well,
described
the
as.
example that was given, is a man and a woman both contribute to like life.
Mhm.
They may not be like complete opposites, but they are pretty different on the spectrum. So they can create like a baby. So, or just any ideas that are born, or like you need opposing views to kind of contradict what you think, so then you have a different perspective. It just kind of goes back to what you're saying about how you gain a new perspective and then maybe it changes your way of thinking.
Mhm.
For thinking wise, not for having babies, because but if I were to have a conversation with you about something that we both disagree on, maybe we come out with a unison of thought that we could both agree on, and then that kind of bursts something new if we start with opposing views.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And can you think of any examples in your life where that happens or no? Like where it's important?
I'm thinking. We can move on if once I think of one, I'll talk about it.
Okay. And he also okay, well, moving on to Kant, I guess. He talked a lot about ethics. So he says that so act as to treat humanity, whether in thine own person or in that of any other, in every case as an end withal. Wait. Alright, basically he thought that ethics were a black and white sort of thing. So my question to you is, do you think that morality should be grounded in rational principles or subjective desires?
Can you elaborate a little more about how he thought everything's black and white, or he thought everything's black and white?
No, he thought ethics were black and white. So he thought there was like a right and a wrong, and I guess, do you agree with his? There's always a right and a wrong, because there's always like some blurred lines, but for the most part, he says that it's black and white.
I think
when it comes to morality,
I think a lot, especially morality. I think a lot of things is a blurred. It's a very blurred line. That I think if you really break it down, it all. Maybe if you really break it down, just like in a very simple, look at it in a very simple terms, then it can become black and white. But I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I don't think that contributes more than looking at it the way it is.
Why not? So you agree with you think it should be subjective in every scenario? Because
again, I think it's a good ground, a middle ground between those would be a good thing, between black and white and blurred lines,
That's even more confusing. Because okay, let's just say I guess it happens a lot.
Give an example.
It happens a lot in politics. Let's just say there's a law that's broken and that has to be repair. I don't know what the word is, but has to be fixed, right? Because the law was black and white in a certain scenario, and then some extreme case happens, and then it no longer applies. So then now they have to change it, or maybe there's barely any exceptions in the law, but when there are, I guess it forces people to repair it. So I guess in politics it's sort of black and white and sort of blurred, like what you said, but you think a mix is good for our society?
Well, I'd like an example of this, like what he's talking about.
If you were lying to protect someone's life, is it wrong? Is the lie wrong?
So now what is Kant saying to that?
Well, he would probably say yes. Technically, yes. Technically, you're still lying, but you're saving somebody's life, right? But you're still lying because lying is wrong.
Well, then wouldn't the good of saving someone's life outweigh the bad of lying?
That's not how it works, though, because you lied in the first place. That's the black and white that he was talking.
I mean, I understand that, but what's his what's his point here? What's his end goal? He's saying, okay, it is like, is he saying just never do bad things, never do?
Well, he was just kind of making a, like
Like a point.
yeah, I guess.
I get what he's saying, but then again, I think if you were to kind of break the statement down, like just strip it up everything, like lie or save someone's life, everyone would, sorry, lie and save someone's life, or be truthful and potentially cause someone to die.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people would just lie, and I guess like black and white like that.
Okay, here's a follow-up. Do you think external influences such as societal norms or cultural values should play a role in shaping moral judgments?
Do I think they should, or do they?
Do you think they should, or do they? You could do both.
Well, they do. They 100% do. What societal norms play a? Yeah, they 100% do. But I would really.
Should there be, or should there be, like right now it's mostly the people, or should it be a government that kind of tells you what to do? So it's not influenced as much as society, but it's just more of the people who own.
Then no, if it's like a group of people telling the majority kind of what to do in that scenario, I think. Oh wow, this. Huh. This is getting kind of hard.
Philosophy's tough.
Yeah, the thing is, there's no like right answer.
Well, it's just your opinion. I guess for most of these, just your opinion. What do you think?
Maybe I would go with the typical balanced answer. I would say some things should be
Society.
some things are okay if the society decides the judgment on them, whereas some things should be. Like if you decide, oh, what's a new hottest food trend or something, and then like people like start liking that food, then sure, that's no harm, no major harm is being done. But then if you all like decide, oh, we should all like I don't know,
then
segregate this race or
Here's the problem.
allow murder.
If you start to blur these lines, then at what point do you stop blurring the lines? If you do society norms for some of them, but you don't do it for all of them, that I think this is actually what Kant's main point was. He was arguing for moral actions that should be universal. So they can be applied as general rules without contradiction. So then there wouldn't be this debate all of the time of exceptions versus non-exceptions, society pressure versus non-society pressure. So it was just to keep it all fair. That was his point.
Did he give examples of these universal like morals? These universal morals?
Well, I guess the one about lying was like an example for you.
But that's not a universal moral. What's he saying? The universal moral is that lying is bad, or that lying in order to save someone's life is good.
He would say that killing somebody, if you want to kill someone, then you would have to make a law that says that everyone must kill someone.
What?
Like,
If you want to kill someone, you have to make
okay, this is like the universal thing, because he says if you made a law, then everybody has to follow that law. So if someone gets killed and they allow it, then everybody should be able to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And then that it goes the same with lying or stealing.
Okay.
So that was just his point. He said that everything should just be universal. There shouldn't be. All moral acts can be derived from principles that may be universalized without contradiction. As creatures of reason, we are duty bound to obey such principles. He was a very black and white type of guy.
That doesn't seem that black and white to me.
How is that not black and white?
Well, he's saying there should be a. He's saying if someone's allowed to do something, everyone should be allowed to do it?
Yeah.
How is. Oh, I guess. That's a really, like a. Okay.
You're not a Kantian? Kantian?
No, I understand it, and I'm not like I'm resonating with that. Like I get that, and I'm trying to think of what's something that someone's allowed to do that others aren't allowed to do.
Well, I guess here's an example. I don't know if this is a great example. If people with money
Mm-hmm.
have the power to, let's just say, there's probably a better example that you can think of after I say it, but people with power can evade taxes. People with money can evade taxes, whereas the Commonwealth cannot. The middle class cannot.
Sure, but that's it's something. It's not like people are saying, oh, we. It's not like the rich who are evading taxes are saying they're doing the right thing. Like they would, I feel like they know that they're wrong. It's just they're doing it because it benefits them and they have the power to do that.
Yeah, but because they have the power to do that, does that mean that everybody should be able to do it?
No, it's against the law. I'm saying they shouldn't be allowed to do that either. But
they do it legally. Legally.
Yeah, they don't do it legally. They just somehow get past it illegally, and like whoever if it is proven that they are, then it's not like they can like avoid that. I get what you're trying to say, but I'm saying like in theory, our system isn't designed like the basic, like if you just strip everything down, there's a law, okay, like you have to pay your taxes. Like it's not saying, oh, these certain people have to pay their taxes if their income is lower than this, but that's kind of what happens. But how do you enforce something like that so it doesn't happen?
You let everybody not pay taxes.
Then the government doesn't work.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, but that's just because like money is power and they have power and they can avoid that.
So okay, here's a different question. How do you think ethics have changed with the increase of how money influences the world?
Oh. I think a lot of people are willing to negotiate with their ethics when it's something they really want. Not necessarily just money. But like let's say like person A wants to wait, hold up. Let me think of a good example for this so I can get my point across. What I'm basically just trying to say is that you can help me think of an example, like a scenario. It's just when there's something we want at stake, our judgments are
skewed.
Yeah, they're not so black and white anymore. Like like the trolley problem, or trolley, huh?
No.
The train problem where it's like, okay, you have one person on this track and 5 people on this track. Okay, let's say you don't know both groups. You have that option to, like the train's gonna kill the 5 people, okay, unless you switch it and it kills that one person. And if you don't do anything, the 5 people die anyways. So what would you do?
You kill the one.
Yeah, you switch and kill the one. But now what if I said that one's your mom? Like you can just leave the track. Like it's not your fault the track was gonna kill those 5 people anyways. Like you can just not do anything.
Oh yeah, you probably would kill the 5. Huh?
Or like, then those 5 would be like some like, what do you call it? Someone who would go cure cancer, or like someone who would just be world peace or something, Just like, it's, I feel like that's why not everything can be so black and white, or at least maybe that's like our human flaw, where we can't make everything so black and white. And I feel like those people who believe, oh, they can and they're like strong enough to make those like judgments, I wouldn't do that. Maybe not strong enough mentally or something. But
Wait,
if it's
what do you mean by if people are strong enough, then?
because I feel like there's someone out there who's like, okay, yeah, I sacrificed my mom for the lives of 5 people.
I don't think that has anything to do with mental fortitude or mental strength because.
Well, realistically, let's say, why not? You're saying the life of one person is more important than the life of 5 people.
But what does that have to do with like how strong your mind is? You could have the strongest mind in the world, but
Or how strong your will is. I don't know if why wouldn't you sacrifice your mom to save 5 people? Because you don't want to, or your mom's more important to you than those 5 people. That's
what it comes down to. Because
Yeah.
you're the person in power right now.
Exactly. It comes down to what's important to you. But if you strip it black and white, like if I was looking at, okay, I guess I knew you and your mom, but like let's say some random person was looking at you making that decision, they wouldn't understand that, or they could empathize with it. But like if it's just them looking at the outside scenario,
I feel like 99% of the population would do the same. I actually don't know a single person who would.
we could alter it a little more. Okay, it could be a friend, you know, maybe not a friend you're that close with, but like a person, you know. Then would you kill that person and not save those 5 people, or would you still not touch it? Or I feel like there comes a point. Maybe the mom one is too one-sided, at least for us. But I feel like there comes a point where it's just like a straight up 50-50 for you. But obviously the decision is to save 5 lives. Because if you think about it, like if the 5 lives are worth more than one, those 5 people, they could be their like sons of mothers of people, you know, like it's just
You're right.
you could sacrifice your own happiness for the happiness of 5 other people.
No, this goes back to it.
So
This goes back to the tax evasion because it's like the people in power. No, I swear this goes back to the tax evasion because the people in power ultimately they decide because they have the power to. They decide that they can tax evade because they have the money to. It's like when you're in the position to switch the train, you have the power to decide who dies and who lives, and then what you would choose. Your mom in the scenario is like you choosing to tax evade.
sure, like
Does that make sense?
I guess so. But why are we going back to the tax example, bro?
Well,
That's not what God said, bro. or Hegel. They didn't mention taxes and ritual.
well, it was just an example of ethics.
Business major showing clearly right now. But
Wow. Okay.
but you see what I'm saying? It can be black and white, but it also doesn't have to be.
It depends on every single scenario. It's really, I guess. Okay, so
You think Kant would have switched it?
I think it's subjective.
No.
Okay,
but
no,
here,
okay.
Do you think Kant would have switched it if it was like, let's say he actually liked his mom? I don't know if let's say he had a good relationship with his mom.
I'm sure he would have. I'm pretty sure he would have. I feel like 99.8% of the population would. Unless they had a bad relationship with them or something.
No.
Even then,
You're
even
sure
then,
he would have saved his
he would
mom?
have saved his mom.
So he would have let the 5 people die.
That would have been interesting. That if you test the philosophers on their theory by implementing their theories in real life.
Here you go, Kant. This is your mom.
How much do you really believe in your theories that you put out?
Strapped down to
Yeah, so I guess
train tracks.
yeah, the underlying principle. Well, because I asked you, do you agree that morality should be rational rather than subjective? So the long-winded answer that you've given me is you think it should be subjective.
I guess so. I still think balance, bro. There should be some
You
subjects
can't answer
are
everything
subjective.
without balance.
It is a perfect balance.
There's
it
no
exists.
such thing with balance, bro.
Yeah, but it's an easier way to lead life. But I was gonna say something that just slipped my mind right now.
Did it have to do with ethics?
Yeah, no. Damn. Okay, continue though.
Well,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say everything is so much simpler on paper. Like it's easy for you to say, oh, everything's black and white, and it can be, but like you said, when it comes to implementing it, are we really like that? Like on paper, we can say, oh, everyone wants to be happy. Like we should create a world where everyone is happy. But is that really possible?
No, it's not.
And it goes back to what Hegel was saying. Can you really be happy without pain? Can you even feel happiness if you don't know what pain is?
No, you can't.
Exactly.
So you synthesize better things. So, maybe that's where. Okay, Hegel's ideas were based off of Kant's ideas.
Hegel was cooking. He was thinking.
So Hegel probably thought that same thing that you just thought.
Yeah. Me and Hegel, we connect like that.
Okay, I think that's the end of today's podcast. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys next time.